Hello Facebook Live. It's Marilyn Devonish here from transformationstm.com, and I thought I'd just do a very quick Facebook Live before dinner on a topic that I've been talking about quite a lot this week, if you kind of follow my Facebook page, and it's one about anxiety. And I saw an article earlier on today talking about dealing with anxiety and talking about anti-anxiety drugs. And that's absolutely fine. And I thought I would just share this one with you in terms of how to banish anxiety in about 2 hours without the use of drugs. So I just want to read you, and it kind of, this whole thing started because it's become a blog post and a video in terms of, a video I've just put up on YouTube. And probably, maybe kind of a little ebook or something like that. But I'm just going to share with you where it all started. One of my clients, who has given me permission to share, thank you for that, posted something in one of my groups, and she was talking about some work we had done. So she said, "I've never been anxious before. This was the first time ever that I got anxious. It was so debilitating that I asked Marilyn to help me out," which she did. And she says, "It doesn't matter how qualified you are, in my case, a trainer of NLP and hypnosis and timeline therapy, amongst other things. There are times when you need a helping hand. There was a long story leading up to me feeling anxious, but it got sorted in, what was it, 2 hours, question mark. Thanks again. Now I can move on with my life again." And this was from the wonderful Annika van Genderen, who some of you will know if you're in my group. And I just thought, number one, it was really lovely because it's always really nice when people share. And one of the things I really liked about it was, and funny enough, I was saying to a client last Friday, today if you're watching this in real time, it's Tuesday, that oftentimes I'm working with clients who are at the top of their game. They're amazing. Many of them are even more qualified than I am in terms of, what they do, and they have serious skills. And the thing I was saying to this particular client, who was kind of a little bit in that place and space of thinking, should be able to sort this out, shouldn't even be happening anywhere. I says, look, you can be a brilliant surgeon. You can be the best surgeon on the planet. But if you as the surgeon needed surgery, you haven't got the perspective, you haven't got the ability to stand back and do that yourself. You need somebody to come in and help you. So it's really perfect when I read this one from Annika, who is brilliant and has amazing skills, that's the thing that she kind of picked up on and pointed out. So in terms of kind of overcoming the anxiety, in terms of kind of, what we did, there are a combination of things. I put a blog together a couple of days ago. I've outlined 5 of those things, and I'll share a couple of them with you here and maybe expand a little bit more in terms of what was in the blog. But I said, number one, the blog is, if you want to kind of read it, I can put the link into the description. But the blog is, it's called, I think it's called, the same, it's similar to this actually. If you've ever suffered from exam or interview anxiety, read this. And of course, anxiety can show up for a number of different reasons, but it tends to play out in a very similar way in terms of how it permeates the mind and gets in the way of your thinking. So number one, I've said, is start with relaxing your breathing, because this relaxes the whole body. And I know it sounds very simple, but so much predicates on the breath. If you've ever been to a relaxation class, it will start with relaxing your breathing. Even when I went to martial arts for the first time, I did something called Kateda in my 20s. And it centered around the breath, because it was one of those ones where, you'd have the block and you'd do the break and, breaking kind of blocks onto the solar plexus and all that sort of stuff. And, we did press ups on our knuckles. It was that sort of thing. And a lot of it, particularly when you're doing knuckles press ups, we were in a church hall. Oh my God, it's so painful. And the way you kind of got to do it, that's the sort of position that you've got to be in. So you're basically mainly on these two, the middle fingers, and the rest are there just gently providing support. When they leave you there for like 5-10 minutes, it is super painful. And one of the ways that you get through it is focusing on the breath, is focusing on the breath, is focusing on the breath. And for those of you who are my photo readers, you will know that we start with step 1, relaxing the breathing, because it just has so many benefits. One of the things that it does from a neurological point of view is it will feed the brain, it will get oxygen moving around the body, because oftentimes when people are stressed, when people are anxious, even without realizing it, they tend to shallow breathe. And when you're shallow breathing, there's not as much oxygen going around the body, there's not as much oxygen going to the brain, so you actually can't think straight. And so even though it sounds very simple, it packs a punch relaxing the breathing. That's the kind of first thing. Number two, I talked about physically relaxing. I said there that I use my kind of relaxation waterfall process, and again with the physical body, and you can feel when you've got tension in your body, you just know. And so it is, and you can kind of almost do the progressive relaxation thing where you just consciously put your attention on parts of the body and just notice, number one, where is the tension, start releasing that. So if you carry the tension, let's say in your shoulders, you relax the shoulders. If you're carrying the tension around the eyes and the forehead, then you relax the eyes, you relax the forehead. Some people will carry it in the jaw, and so if you feel that you're carrying it in the jaw, and you can just kind of tap into your body and give the instruction to relax and physically relax that as well. And one of the things I also said is that it's vitally important to tap into what you would call the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the body's natural relaxation response. One of the ways that we do that is I love Huna, you might have guessed if you guys follow me on Facebook, and one of the ways that you do that is Hakalau. And that was, I remember the very first time I came across that in October 2000, it was just such a revelation for me. And I've just finished the Tarot Tuesday piece with my Facebook membership group. We did a Facebook live video with the monthly angel tarot readings. And I was talking to them about the times where I was doing a 32 or 35 day week. And that's a straight run. I mean, every single day, working 20 hours a day a lot of the time. I was in the training room at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. The training would finish at 8 o'clock at night. It would start at 8 a.m. with the first morning session. We finish at 8 p.m. And of course, I'm the last one out of the room and people are often chatting. So at times I'd leave the training room at 10, 10:30. And then I had to be back the next day for 6:30 / 7 a.m. to get everything set up. And I'd often do a straight run of 32 or 35 days because we'd often run the trainings back to back. We've run a practitioner, presenting magically, secret of creating your future, master practitioner, bosh, in one straight go. That's a lot of time. And so I was saying to the group, one of the ways I retained my sanity and actually kept myself fit and healthy and focused throughout was to do the Huna waking meditations, where you can be sitting, eyes open, still aware of what's going on and meditating. And that's centered around that Hakalau piece. So it's kind of these are, I know it sounds really, I think one of the sometimes the problems with this kind of work is that when you share these things with people, they're like, was that it? Really? Because it actually is pretty straightforward and it doesn't take huge amounts of effort. And as I was just saying to the group during the Tarot Tuesday piece, aim for being able to do a meditation in 2 or 3 minutes, because oftentimes when you're pushing a really busy schedule, you don't have the luxury of getting your crystals out and sitting and omming for an hour and a half, 2 hours. If you do, all power to you, that's great. But a lot of the times people's schedules are a bit, let's go. And so mastering the art of being able to get that sense of calm, being able to get that sense of relaxation in just a couple of minutes, so you get that sense of being refreshed. I was sharing with them how I used to do my meditation and my relaxation on my commute from Watford to London, and also on the London Underground. When I'm on the Underground and I'm on the tube and somebody's got their head across your face, I would still be doing my relaxation and meditation in those circumstances. I had to. Otherwise I would not have survived that kind of schedule, and I did that for nearly 2 years. So you know, you've got to have something in place. Hold on, somebody says oh thanks Nathan, that's so sweet. Nathan says, great to have you in my life, Marilyn. Woohoo. And how about anxiety to complete my resume? It's been 2 years and it's still not done, and I get severely overwhelmed and I medicate by being distracted with social media. And I'd actually rather go drive an Uber than get my resume done and land a high-paying job. That's an interesting one, actually. Now, I'm not even going to attempt to find it because I know it's in my testimonials document, but I've got 3 of them. The first one runs to something like 996 pages or something like that. The second one is probably 600 pages, and the third one I've only just started, so that's only like 100 and something pages. but a couple of years ago, I did a teleseminar. I think I was testing out the idea for something I was going to do on my photo reading workshop. And it was about, I think it was one where I was connecting to the higher self. And somebody was on that piece. After the call, number one, I think she was the same person. She went and helped her daughter with a piece of work and something that she didn't, it'd been years, she hadn't studied it since childhood. And she said, I tried to help her before, couldn't do it. She said, I went back and looked at it after we did the teleseminar and it just made sense. And there was also somebody on there who had been procrastinating on a project. And she sent me an email or Facebook Messenger, whichever one it was, saying, oh my God, I've actually got started on my project. I can't believe it. I just woke up feeling so amazing and so switched on. And then by the end of the day, a couple of hours later, around 5, 6 p.m., she's like, I didn't just start it, I finished it. And that, what was, oh God, I think that one I created a kind of a guided meditation. I'm sure there would have been a bit of Huna and Access in there somewhere, but I think I did a guided meditation piece for connecting to the higher self. But I would distinctly remember getting that email the next day and saying, oh my God, I've been putting this off forever. Couldn't get moving on it no matter how hard I tried, and bosh, job done, sorted, finished. So it definitely is possible with the kind of with the right energetic input. And also, I guess one of the things on a more practical, let's say a more straightforward coaching level, is just kind of thinking about, okay, why are you doing it? What's it about? What is the end result for you? Sometimes you have to reevaluate your why and put a little bit of fresh impetus and a bit of fresh energy around it. And almost kind of do a bit of reframing around it such that the proposition seems far more exciting. And there's a kind of a bigger reason for doing that in terms of, you know, what's the ultimate aim, what's the ultimate outcome, what will it get for you, what would it allow you to do, and kind of playing with it in that way can be kind of really powerful as well in terms of doing that. Great question, thank you for that. What else, anything else I want to share with you about this one, about anxiety? Oh yeah, one of the things I said in the blog also was make it, so what I've said here is make a decision about what you want to focus on or achieve, the photo reading purpose piece, and this energetically and neurologically sets a series of events in motion and helps the mind and brain and body get into alignment, because there is something about kind of deciding. One of the things about worry, one of the things about stress, one of the things about anxiety, it will just steal your time, it will steal your energy, and it will steal your attention. And it's almost so it gets all of your energy, it gets all of your focus, it gets all of your attention. It's almost so it invades your entire mind. And so one of the things that I'm often speaking to people about is kind of looking at, okay, where's the focus, where's the energy, where's the attention going, and what can we do to change that? And also, I with this particular kind of process, one of the things we did was, I guess, what I'd call unhooking and disassociating from some of the triggers of the anxiety, and also doing some reframing. And it's kind of one that I came up with for myself back in October 2000. So if you're watching this in real time, coming up to 18 years ago, the analogy that I had for myself was Humpty Dumpty. But I was my own worst enemy, and my mind was very critical of me. What are you doing that for? You're so stupid. You can't do that. What are you trying to do? Oh, don't waste your time. It was just constant. It was like there was a war in my head, and I'd been like that my whole life, so I didn't know any different. And then when I started learning about the mind-body connection, when I started learning about resolving anger, sadness, fear, guilt, anxiety, worry, stress, whatever umbrella you want to call it, it was a revelation to me that, number one, you could work and resolve this stuff. Also learning about limiting beliefs. For me, big ones for me, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy. And I was like, wow, okay, so now I'm aware that you can work on these things, you can change these things. And so I started looking at the voices, and the biggest voice in my head, the one that was severely critical of me. And I shared that process with my client here, who had the debilitating anxiety, and it worked perfectly for her too, to the point where we're in the middle of this, because we did it by Skype, and we're both just giggling and laughing about it. But when you get to that point with the thing that was causing your anxiety, when you're laughing about it, when you're giggling about it, and when you're kind of looking at it, because one of the tricks to it also is looking at it and it's outside of yourself, it's no longer eating you up from the inside, and you can look at it, that's a moment as well. So there's definitely a piece around that. And I guess in old, not old fashioned, but you know, NLP to some extent feels a bit old school nowadays, given how long I've been doing it. But it's that whole thing where you'd talk about being associated or dissociated, and also what you'd even call, you know, looking at your anchors and looking at your triggers. And once you get those sorted out as well, things can move very quickly, because it really was, and they were saying 2 hours question mark, it really was around that point. But to go from debilitating anxiety to just laughing about it, and you know, the net result of that, because this was around a particular event, they were successful in kind of passing the assessment. And you know, similarly in that blog, I'd kind of talked about someone who had worry and stress and anxiety around going for a job interview, because it'd been 10 years since she'd been for an interview. She'd just been in the same job, and of course the worry around that is, well, how do you explain not moving, not progressing? So you know, did some work around that, coming up with the perfect answers for those kinds of questions, and also, you know, did a piece around the worry, the anxiety, all of that stuff, and how to get your mind in gear. And with regards to that client, we did some what I called imagineering, and putting some stuff in her future, in her timeline, and kind of getting her to live and breathe the scenario, the ideal scenario. That's exactly how it played out, and she had no idea what to expect, because it's been 10 years since she'd been to an interview. But she said, Marilyn, it happened just as you described it, and just as you said it would, which is very cool. And for her, she was calm, she was relaxed, and didn't even need the notes and the mind maps that, you know, I'd suggested putting together. So that was very cool as well. So you can use it in a number of different settings and scenarios, and it really can be quick. It's powerful stuff, and it's kind of fun, because as you all know, if you're a client, we spend a lot of time laughing. There's stuff that goes straight between the eyes and all the rest of it as well. But in amongst all of that, there is fun, so people don't even notice the time and often come out the other end. Sometimes a little bit, what just happened? But then suddenly they realise that the fear, the worry, the anxiety, the lack of confidence, whatever it is, has just disappeared. So this was one of those wonderful stories. I just thought I'd share a few of those tips with you. And if you wanted to read the blog, I will put the link in the description of this video. I'll also put it in the comments if you wanted to have a read. That would be fabulous. And in a similar-ish kind of vein, what I'm going to be doing, I'm not sure where, probably be in a, you know, I won't say a couple of weeks, couple of months time, but I'm going to do an MP3 around fear. And so one of the things I was asking my e-newsletter, and I kind of posted it on my page over the weekend, is what is your biggest fear? And I'd love to hear that, because what I want to do is put together an MP3, like a guided meditation process, just for helping to release and resolve some of those issues. So for those of you who have contributed and shared, you will get a free copy of the MP3 when it's done. As I said, I haven't got a timescale on it. It's an idea that kept coming back, so I thought, okay, I'll at least get the ball rolling. So getting the ball rolling, part one is, okay, find out what some of the biggest fears are, and then I will reverse engineer that and put together a guided meditation and process just to help relieve and resolve some of those. And ideally, because I quite like listening to stuff when I'm kind of semi-sleeping, so ideally maybe something that people can listen to in a relaxed state and just kind of take it all in. So if you want to share, and it might not be your fear, it might be one that might be somebody you know and their fear is XYZ, then let me know. You can send me a Facebook message. You can email me, Marilyn at transformationstm.com. Trance is TRANCE, as in hypnotic trance. Formations, F for Freddy, ORMATIONS. TM, as in trademark. So Marilyn, MARILYN, at transformationstm.com. Put biggest fear in the subject line, and I will collate all of those examples. I will then design something to help unravel those and put it together in an MP3. Might even put it on do a video of it as well, and you guys who have contributed will get a copy. So similar-ish to this with the anxiety stuff. Because yeah, I know in the 18 years that I've been doing this, there are ways and means to get around some of this stuff, often very quickly, very easily, in a way that's fun. People don't even notice. They just kind of benefit from the end result. But if you said to them, what exactly happened? What did you do? They'll be like, oh man, I don't really know. And that's cool. That's how it should be. Well, in my world, that's the way I like it in my world. No angst, no gnashing, no wailing, kind of all that. It's like, let's just get this sorted. So as Annika said at the end of it, so she can now go and just get on with her life, which I think is amazing. So thank you for sharing your feedback. It's always, I think it's, when people share their feedback, the way I see it, the way it always worked for me in the past, is reading other people's success stories showed me that there was light at the end of the tunnel, and that actually it was possible to do the thing that I was hoping for. Because I remember, I was a massive fan of Oprah when I was at university. If I was ever at home during the day, it's the thing I would watch. And I used to watch and I used to wish that I could be in the audience so that Dr. Phil could pluck me out of the audience and help me with my crazy twisted mind. And nowadays I would love to be on whatever the iteration of Oprah is nowadays, on the OWN network, to be helping people in the audience. But back then I was wanting to be in the audience. However, listening to other people's stories and hearing them sharing, it kind of just gave me a little glint of hope and a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, that change was actually possible. I didn't know how back then. I knew that change was possible for other people. I still hadn't quite moved into the realm where it was also possible for me. I just thought they were the lucky ones and I was just going to have to live my life the way it was playing out. But I always love sharing other people's success stories. So somebody might be reading it, somebody might be watching, somebody might be listening and go, oh my God, that sounds like me. And if they can do it, I can do it too. And then you will go off and find whatever means is going to work for you. Because there are so many different ways that you can do this. For me, one of the reasons that I trained in like 20 or so different modalities is I realized that one size didn't fit all, and I wanted to have flexibility in the way that I worked with my clients, and that is still scratching the surface. There are 1,001 ways that you can sort this stuff out. So find the thing that works for you, find the person that gels with you in terms of the way they work, and it definitely absolutely can be done. So yeah, cool. Oh, hang on, there's a couple of questions. Loving this. Anxiety about finances, the bane of my life. Cool. Well, that's, what I might do. That's a cool one actually. And I know the words worry, fear, anxiety, stress. I know they kind of bundle up sometimes. So it may be that when I do the MP3, because of course someone has mentioned health, someone else has mentioned business, so I'm just thinking it might even turn into a kind of Wheel of Life MP3 where I'm kind of doing segments for some of those things, just to get a bit of ease and flow. For those of you in my membership group, we're doing the Energy of Abundance 28-day experiment. We started on Saturday, so today is what, day 4? Saturday, yeah, day 4. And that's very much about having 28 days and focusing on moving out of the energy of worry and fear and into more of the energy of flow. And the reason I kind of use the word abundance, of course, people automatically think of money. However, there are so many other things that flows into: an abundance of health, an abundance of energy, an abundance of vitality, an abundance of joy. There are so many ways that it can show up. But we're on day 4 at the moment of the 28-day experiment, to see if we can, just by doing simple things that take a couple of minutes a day, move us into a whole different slipstream, and what I call into the magical vortex. So yes, that's definitely an interesting one. Please, Nathan says, please show me how to get out of this rut. It's debilitating and a disempowering state, and living way below my potential. Yeah, I'm definitely not going to try and keep you all here for 2 hours while I explain it in more detail. And I think, for me, as the world has got busier, I know one of the things that has been potentially a bit of a problem for me is that I haven't been in a category. So let's say, for example, you might have a stress management coach or trainer, or somebody who works on relationships, or somebody who specializes in money and finance, and somebody who specializes in health. They're a health coach. Because I do so many things, I haven't been easy to put into a box. And by the same token, because I use so many things, and we get to a point where they are completely blended. And I was saying to another client, the client I had on Friday, because we did, I could hear her heart drop, and I could hear the really, when I said we're going to do I said we're going to do some timeline work, we're going to do some Huna, we're going to do some Ho'oponopono, and they kind of came with the yes but. Oh yeah, but I've done that. Yeah, but I've cut the ties. Yeah, but and I was like, yeah, okay, that's really cool. And I said, that's fine, just go with me. And it happens every single time. I remember I was working with a guy who was a master trainer of timeline therapy. So he comes to me because his finances are blocked, plateaued, hit a point. He's making pretty good money, but he was, I think, something like 10 or 15 grand a month, which is cool. But when your outgoings are 20 to 25 grand a month, it's not so cool. So he said, so what are we going to do? And I said, I think we'll do some timeline work. And he rolled his eyes like, really? I'm paying you for this? So we do the thing. I won't say exactly what he said, because he used an expletive, the F word, but he said, what the bleep was that? And I went, what? And I said we're going to do some work with your timeline. And he's like, I'm a trainer. He said, I'm a master trainer in timeline therapy. I've never seen anything like that. I've never experienced that before. Had the same with the client who tells me, they said, oh, I do Ho'oponopono. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure you do. And we get to the end of it, and she's like, whoa, what was that? So there's a lot of that, because now it's a hybrid. So it's when I don't know someone's kind of background or what we're dealing with, it's kind of challenging to say, oh, just do this, because my stuff is kind of how can I say, curated in the moment. The client is right. The client I had, she went, Marilyn, that's channeled. It's not a doubt. Because I said, oh, it's kind of a download. We did something that is a variation of what you might commonly call family constellations. But it's about how your timeline intersects with your ancestors and all that sort of stuff. But we did that, and she's like, whoa. And she's like, that's a channeled process right there. And it actually, I said it came as a download, but it will be a similar sort of thing. And that's kind of the way I work with my clients, which is what makes it challenging to categorize and go, oh, I do this, or I do that, or let's do this, or let's do that. Because it's a hybrid, and oftentimes things will just come into my mind for that particular client. So I might never do it again in that particular way, but it just comes in. So to just kind of go, oh, just do this, just do that, might be slightly challenging in the format of a Facebook Live. It would really be hearing about how, and this will be for you to maybe think about, how do you represent it in your mind? How do you talk to yourself? What are the beliefs that you have around it? Because all of those go into the mix. And once you know what those are, that's what you're going to work on resolving and clearing, so that you have that. And I remember one of my clients, and it was something simple, and it was just the Magic and Gratitude program. So there's no big therapeutic intervention on my part. She signed up, was getting out of bed depressed every single morning. By day 7, she's getting out of bed with a spring in her step. By day 14, this is a woman who had no sense of direction. She has this idea for a business. By day 28, because it was a 28-day e-coaching program, so every day for 28 days you get an email. It takes 5-10 minutes to do if you want to make a meal of it. And by day 28, she's like, I know what I want to do. Within 3 months, you've met someone who can help her make that a reality. The Magic and Gratitude program this year, I believe, is 5 years old. She's still running that business. Last time I saw, she was running an amazing retreat in Italy, doing this work. She's got a whole newsletter that's been going out now for all of those years. And when she ran her first workshop, within, I think it was 6 to 8 months of doing the Magic and Gratitude program, I was a delegate on the workshop. And when she started doing kind of one-to-one coaching around her chosen field that came to her during the Magic and Gratitude program, she was so busy with paid clients that when I decided I'd try out a session, I had to go on the waiting list. So, it can be that fast. 5 minutes a day, 28 days, get your focus, you'll be amazed. And so the Magic and Gratitude program, as I was saying to the Tarot Tuesday group today, it came as a result of a dream, because I think oftentimes people have great ideas and they discount those ideas and go, oh, it's just that. And I was just like, oh, that's nothing. Oh, of course anybody can do that. Oh, it's easy. And I'm like, well, clearly everybody isn't doing it. And that's how the program came about. So it can be, you know, simple, straightforward stuff. It doesn't have to be bells and whistles. And you know, when you have clarity on what it is that's stopping and blocking you, you then choose the vehicle that will help you to get there. You know, so yeah, there are so many ways and so many means. But yeah, yes. Good evening, Andrew. Thank you so much for joining me. And Andrew says we need to connect. Locked in from Kent in the United Kingdom. Well, I'm in Watford. It's actually quite sunny, Watford State, albeit a little bit chilly, I will say, for this time of year. But yeah, so it's not on my desk. They're actually in the suitcase, and one's in my other office. But you know, you'll know if you've done the photo reading, we have the easy button, and it's not to downplay the severity of this. However, in the grand scheme of things, once you know what you're dealing with, it can be easy. Because I'm sure Annika actually couldn't even remember how long. She's like, it was 2 hours, right? Something like that. She doesn't even remember the time. So I'm sure if I went back to her and says, how was it for you? It was pretty straightforward. You might even go into the realms of easy. And, you know, it's what I discovered with the breakthrough sessions. When I first started out, I just did breakthrough sessions for probably the first 10 or so years that I was in practice before I started doing, you know, 1 and 2 hour coaching sessions. Work with someone for a day, in at the morning, 10 o'clock, work through till 5 or 6 o'clock, bang, you're done, never see you again. And the ripple effect of that, I know for a fact, because somebody sent me an email 10 years after the breakthrough session saying, Marilyn, the work we did and the changes we've made are still rippling through my life. And those were the words that he used. So in the grand scheme of it, solving a lifetime's worth of problems in, you know, 8 to 10 hours is relatively easy. If you think about the amount of angst that, you know, people have lived up until that point. So yeah, take heart that it is possible to change and transform. The world is very different from when it was when I started this 18 years ago, in terms of you have so much choice. It's just astounding, and I think that's really wonderful. So choose your modality. Figure out, I'd say, good starting point is figure out what's stopping, what's blocking you, and then from there you can kind of cross match. And actually on my website, I think it's still there. It looks very archaic now, but I did a flow chart saying, if this is your problem, click here, and if this is your problem, click here, because I was trying to categorize in my mind how to help people to make a decision with all of the stuff that's on offer. But I can absolutely say, hand on heart, because I've lived it myself first of all, and having lived it, I then thought, wow, if this can happen to me, can I learn how to do this with other people? So I know that it is possible to solve these things and resolve these things, even if it's big stuff. You know, when I say big stuff, people often, you know, that will go into the realms of child abuse, which sexual abuse, let's just get it clear, in terms of where my journey started, and to be able to kind of come out of that and live a life which is truly, genuinely happy and joyful. I know it's possible. I'm not saying it's always easy in the traditional sense of, yeah, just sit back, relax, do nothing. The emotions do get stirred up. There are often tears for a few minutes, but we get to the other side of that, and it is absolutely amazing. So thank you, Annika, for sharing your story. Thank you for being willing to share your feedback, because when somebody is professional, when somebody is experienced, when somebody has a massive skill set, it's not actually, number one, it's not always easy to say that you needed help. And it's not actually easy to say that you asked for help and you were open to receiving it, and then to talk about it. I think that's a really big deal, because you know, many people, you would imagine that they did everything on their own. But so I actually, I think that in itself is just major and amazing and fantastic, and takes, I would say, a level of confidence and belief and knowledge in yourself that there is no shame and no nothing to kind of look down on, to kind of go, I needed a bit of help with this. Needed the help, got it, and now I'm back in the world, living my potential, stepping back into my greatness, and the world is your oyster. And if you're looking for an incredible sports masseur, that's what Annika has just qualified in, and she really brings to it a very unique way of healing. I know that's a weird word to use sometimes, because it can't be qualified in terms of the way the media use it. However, She's doing some incredible stuff. So, you know, do connect with her. If you want sports massage with an absolute amazing, incredible twist, I recommend. And she did some test subjects. I put a note in my e-newsletter a couple of months ago. She was looking for some test subjects, and from what she wrote, she didn't tell me who they were or exactly what they did, but, you know, just getting the tail end of how did it go, had some amazing results. So, you know, watch this space now that she's kind of fully qualified and has a piece of paper to back up what she's been doing for many, many years. So yeah, cool. Well, wishing you all a fabulous, anxiety-free day, week, month, year, and life ahead. And if you want any further information and you know, about the coaching, about the breakthrough sessions, I don't do as many coaching and breakthrough sessions nowadays. It used to be my life. That's all I did. I can probably count on one hand the number of breakthrough sessions I've done this year, and we're 6 months into the year, so it's no longer the thing that I focus all of my time on. But if it's going to sound a bit bad actually, if I like the person and I actually want to spend some time with them, because you have to, you know, even though it's like, you know, 2 hours is not very much, but if I'm sort of talking 8 to 10 hours, it's a considerable amount of time still, and so I have to like you. so yeah, nowadays it's not just, you know, yeah, let's do it, but you can, you know, things like the Magic and Gratitude program, that is still running. You can book on that anytime. It's an email coaching program, as with the Limitless Neuro Success and the Money Breakthrough program and all that sort of stuff. They're all, you know, 28-day programs. So go to my website, www.transformationstm.com/shop, SHOP, and you'll find the details of the e-coaching programs there as well. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me. Wishing you all a fabulous afternoon, evening, morning, depending on where in the world you are located. And I will catch you all later. Bye-bye.